What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we'll be going through the vendor weapons in the tower, looking at which one's the best and some must-buy items for both PvP and PvE. And Rise of Iron, the vendors have seriously stepped up their game. There are some impressive and solid weapons up for grabs. I'll be going through all the weapons, beginning with Crucible, and then Vanguard and the factions. So let's begin with this thing, the Palindrome hand cannon, and this is probably the best weapon in the tower. This thing is incredible. It's one of the best hand cannons in the game with a near god roll. It's got true sight, rifle barrel, rangefinder, and also mulligan or spray and play. So the other two perks are not really that great. Mulligan and spray and play are okay. It's kind of interesting because mulligan is very good for PvP and spray and play is kind of like a PvE perk. But the main perks here are, of course, rangefinder and rifle barrel. These two are an incredible combination and makes the range really, really high. If you compare it to my basically god roll from Lars Peril, it's really impressive. And just for a weapon you can buy in the tower, this thing is one of the best by far. So if you're still looking for a decent hand cannon, this is probably one of the best you'll ever find, and it's a really, really good roll. Of course, it isn't a 100% god roll. You can actually get Outlaw and also Icarus in these two nodes right here, so I'll definitely swap those out. This is a really, really good weapon, and considering it's just here for 150 marks, it's definitely a big deal. Range is the single most important perk on hand cannons, and it's basically what makes the bullets actually hit enemies and not just disappear, and what makes the damage not fall off so drastically. So that is why this weapon is such a big deal, and you should definitely buy it if you're looking for a good hand cannon. So moving on from the Crucible, he's also stocking a really decent sniper, the Event Horizon. So this thing comes with short gaze 10, spray and play, small bore, and also hidden hand, so a really solid roll right there. It doesn't have anything like snapshot or quick draw, but this is a really solid weapon. The handling won't be too great because of the lack of those perks, but it's still very solid. It is also important to note this is the very high impact archetype of sniper, so like Aphrodite Spear or the Devil's Dawn. This thing can actually one-shot supers very reliably, and this is the highest impact you can get on a sniper rifle, even more than the 1000 yard or the longbow and weapons like that. So this is really good for taking out supers. If you want a weapon like this, this is definitely one of your best tools. So next up is the Chaosic Neutral machine gun. This thing is really good as well. It's got Feeding Frenzy, Brace Frame, and Rangefinder. Pretty similar to the Runewake he used to have. Of course, machine guns aren't too great right now. They don't have a massive purpose compared to things like swords. But as I said, if you're looking for a machine gun, this is definitely the one to go for. So next up, let's look at the Vanguard. Only one weapon that really caught my eye, and this is the Angel's Advocate Scout Rifle. This thing really, really looks impressive. It looks like the new kind of hung jury for PvE. It's got Outlaw, Small Bore, Reactive Reload, which are amazing perks for PvE. The scopes aren't too great, but in general perks, this is just a solid weapon. It's going to be reliable. I'd say Scout Rifles are the best weapons to use in PvE. If you're looking for something to carry you through the raid, this is definitely a good choice. Its perks are all really impressive, and on top of that, Outlaw is going to make it reload super quickly. You've got Small Bore to boost the stats even further, and Reactive Reload is going to give you bonus damage every time you reload, which can be really quickly with Outlaw. So it's a really good combination of perks right here, and like I said, an amazing PvE weapon. Next up, let's look at the factions, beginning with Dead Orbit. The last ditch, like I said in a video a while back, is basically the Matador. This thing is incredible. It's the high impact and low rate of fire archetype, and this thing comes with decent range perks. It's got Hammer Forged and Rangefinder. Doesn't have Rifle Barrel, so it isn't the best in terms of range. I'll definitely try and get a bunch of weapon packages, try and get an even better roll. But this, if you're looking for a good Crucible shotgun, is probably the best one you can buy. It's a Matador right here, but just a slightly weaker version with slightly less range. But this is a really, really strong weapon. I expect to see a lot of people in Crucible running around with this, but the last ditch is definitely one to look out for. Like I said, the range could be a little bit higher if it had Rifle Barrel, but it's still pretty decent for a weapon that's being sold from a vendor. So if you don't have any kind of good Crucible shotgun, definitely grab this thing and then keep on trying the Dead Orbit weapon packages to try and get a better roll on this thing, mostly that boost the range. So the next weapon that caught my eye from Dead Orbit was the Worlds to Come Fusion Rifle. Nothing spectacular about this weapon, but it's definitely a really good fusion. It's got Snapshot, Hammer Forge for the range, or Performance Bonus as an option for more ammo, and also Hidden Hand. So if you're looking for a fusion, this is a solid choice. Looking at Future War Cult, we have the Waltz, which is pretty interesting. Now, this thing is basically the grasp of Moloch. If you don't have one, it's got perfect balance and rangefinder. It's an okay roll. It's not perfect. It's definitely not as good as the grasp. But if you're still looking for a grasp, this is your closest thing to it, and it's a really good pulse rifle in Crucible right now. So definitely grab this thing if you're looking for that kind of archetype of pulse rifle, but the perks are okay. Perfect balance is going to help with the recoil, but expect this weapon to kick quite a lot because it's not going to be as good as something with counterbalance. Now, another weapon that caught my eye from the Future War Cult was the Wounded. This is a really good PvE scout rifle. This thing comes with high caliber rounds to stagger the enemies, which is really helpful. Also, perfect balance for the recoil, although I would go for Outlaw as the second choice because the final perk is Zen Moment, which means bonus stability when you land hits on enemies. So I don't think stability should be a massive problem. It's not great, but I think Outlaw is the much better choice for the reload, and you can help with stability by simply landing hits on enemies. So I think this is a really good weapon for PvE. Not as good as the Angel's Advocate Scout Rifle from the Vanguard, but still also worth a mention for sure. Now, looking at the new Monarchy faction, there's definitely nothing that caught my eye here. All the weapons are not that great rolls and nothing really special here. The Assembly 2 auto rifle looks decent. It's got the double up of counterbalance and also perfect balance, so it's decent. This is the Doctrine auto rifle archetype, so very, very fast rate of fire, but it's got nowhere near the stability the Doctrine has. So if you don't have one, this is your best bet, but it does need more stability, and you definitely need something like Brace Frame to make the stability actually manageable. But there you go, those are my recommendations from all the Tower vendor weapons. Some really impressive stuff. Let me know if you guys buy anything from the Tower, anything that catches your eye. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and I got a bunch more Rise Van videos already uploaded on my channel, and also coming out very shortly, so make sure you are subscribed if you haven't already. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.